The Queens of Spice podcast is created for adult audiences only. Our show contains cursing, vulgar content, dark humor, descriptions of sexual acts and desires, and is not suitable for listeners under the age of 18. Some episodes also contain themes which may be triggering for listeners. Please take care of yourself. Welcome to the Queens of Spice podcast. I'm Rachel, also known as Raggy Ragachu. I'm a Pokemon Master. I'm here with my two BFFs, Jack and Ash. Hey guys.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me on this very special episode of the Queens of Spice podcast.
Why is this one special?
It's
They're
special.
all special.
This one's extra special. It has a special place in my heart anyway.
Is this the one about Uncle Jake?
Heavens no.
Oh.
That one's got a special place in her vagina.
It does not. It has a special place in the dark, deep depths of hell. But today, it's not about Credence. Today is about Titan.
Oh, the penguin one?
Also, no.
Oh.
I think we should stop warning her about them beforehand.
We're not going to tell you any more books we're reading. You can't get excited about them. This one is called Titan, a Gargoyle Daddy Dom Romance, written by Jillian Graves.
What?
So this came out this year in 2020. Oh, hold on. This is a new year. It's 2023, isn't it?
Oh, are you still writing
Yeah.
2020?
I wrote, I the other day, I wrote June, like 2020 or something. It was baloney. I don't know why I did it.
I mean, my paperwork, you can barely read my writing on my paperwork, so you could say 2022, it could say 2023, could say 2012, who knows?
This is why I type everything. My handwriting is equally as terrible.
I'm still sick and still sucking on popsicles. I'm not even sorry at this point in the game.
We're not sorry for watching either, so don't worry about it.
I'm a little sorry.
I'm a little disturbed.
So this was published in June 2022. The follow-up book is due out June 2023, so we're a ways out yet. This is book 1 of the Romancing His Stone series.
Which, can I just say, fucking clever.
It's quite an interesting title.
Romancing his stone?
Right? Perfect.
Because he's a gargoyle, so
he's
his
a gargoyle.
penis is made of stone.
Well, he was born in a rock quarry.
Yeah, I mean they're made from rock. They're like concoctions from witches, basically.
What do you mean he was born there?
He was created in a rock quarry. The witches made him from rocks from a quarry.
Yeah, nailed it.
I didn't make it up. It's not like weird or anything.
It's not about the centaurs again. This is factual.
Oh yeah, the same sex couple that didn't exist.
Yeah, the same-sex centaurs, which I made up. 100%.
I mean, the centaurs were real.
Oh, yeah, they were. But they
They
weren't
just weren't
same
same
sex.
sex.
Yeah.
Did you just say this book about naughty gargoyles is real and factual?
No, she meant the information she was providing was real and factual, unlike the information she was providing us with about the same-sex centaurs that spurred a conversation that went way too long.
Speaking of, we should do our shot.
Oh, thank God.
What are we shooting this week, Jack?
I haven't given it a name, but it has lime and vodka and Pink Whitney.
Which is whiskey. So isn't it whiskey?
It's vodka.
Oh, Pink Whitney's vodka.
Mm-hmm.
Vodka,
I was like, oh
vodka,
Jesus,
lime
were you just
shots.
mixing all the alcohols? Not safe.
We should call this the daddy shot.
Okay.
I love it.
Daddy.
Down the hatch.
So one of the keynotes I'm going to bring up, because we're going to say it a lot, this book could easily be turned into a drinking game.
Yes.
For how many times they say daddy?
For how many times they use the term daddy. Oh my goodness.
Almost as bad as Fairy Daddy.
Almost as bad as Fairy Daddy. So I'm going to read...
That's the penguin one.
That's the penguin one. I'm going to read the synopsis here. Just give me a second. When former child star Juliana Novak loses everything to her shady managers, she'll do whatever it takes to win her independence back, even if it means rushing to find a new sugar daddy. When Titan, a wealthy businessman, makes her an offer that she can't refuse, she soon realizes that he may not be what he seems. His curved horns, massive wings, and ribbed prehensile tail are, however, more than she ever bargained for. Leader of the last surviving gargoyles, Titan knows what desperation looks like, and he recognizes it in Jules. The heavy weight that she carries is one that he's able to bear, and he finds that he wants to. When Titan's missing supernatural artifact and Jules' financial trouble unexpectedly align, they find that a single night together won't be enough. Confronted by old enemies and diverging paths, they once follow may no longer be the destiny that their hearts desire.
What?
I will say the storyline for this one did leave me like wanting a bit more.
Storyline was interesting. I think I'm pretty sure that Jillian was doing a lot of world building here, and that kind of left like a few little gaps in some of the aspects of this book.
I honestly just kept thinking about gargoyles from Disney.
So, do you want to talk about your sexual awakening with monster fucking?
My sexual awakening.
Yeah, when you decided that you wanted you may be into monster fucking.
I mean, yeah, Goliath. When I shipped Goliath and Elisa, was that her name, Elisa? I can't remember.
Don't make me remember that. You're my memory from junior high.
I shipped Goliath and the little woman together. Instead, even though Desdemona was like,
even though there's obviously another female gargoyle.
Yeah, but that's boring. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, listen, I am not arguing with this.
I had a thought though. Like, I know I said that Goliath was probably one of the first. Like, he was one of the first, but I don't know if he was the first. Because, like, let's be real, Beauty and the Beast. When he turned back into a human, I was heartbroken.
Oh fuck, he's disgusting as a human.
Yeah.
Whoa, that went real.
Yeah.
Went real hard on that.
He really is.
10 out of 10 would have fucked the Beast.
Oh my
before he
God.
turned human.
Right?
After human,
Terrible.
sir, you look like Botox went wrong.
He shouldn't have been blonde, for one.
Yeah, wasn't he brown as a beast?
Well, yeah.
Well, blonde Beast would look weird.
Well, so did that blonde guy. Looked weird. And nobody wants him.
Everyone just wanted the library. I wanted the library.
Everyone wanted the library with the ladder on wheels.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I want it Clogsworth.
I kind of liked Lumiere.
I know, especially when Ewan McGregor played him. But yeah, no,
Hello there.
Goliath was definitely one of my like the first time I was like, this is a ship for me. Not realizing what a ship was. And like, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that there was like feelings at that age because that would be weird. But I mean, knowing what a goddamn pervert I am now, and knowing
You say that like it's a bad thing.
knowing what an idiot I was back then, and what kind of fan fiction I wrote when I was a fucking teenager slash preteen, tweenie, whatever the fuck you want to call
And
it,
in between.
an in-betweener. Yeah, it was a big deal for me. I mean, he was big. He had that voice.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Had tail.
He had that loincloth.
Oh my God. Is
Yeah,
this like
loincloth.
a show or something? Should
Have
I
you never seen
know
Gargoyles?
What you're talking about? I don't think so.
It's wrong because like
This makes so much sense.
the X-Men theme is playing in my head. I'm like, that-
Near.
Yeah, I was like, that's not the theme for that show.
Near. No, one of my first crushes growing up, that was Gambit. Swoon.
Oh, but he's not a monster.
No, he's a bit of a monster, but he's not a monster.
I mean, we don't know that.
I don't know much. What I do know, however, so Jules is a former child actor. She started when she was 6, when her mom like kind of got her into the acting gig, and she's like 28 now or something like that. She's in her late 20s currently. And so when she was like 18, she was supposed to have her funds released to her from acting, and her mother and manager were like, nope, like, we're not releasing your funds.
And they're fucking.
Yeah, they end up being married, I think. Or they're together like later in the book, which is
Pelvically.
her mother Kathleen and Richard Perkins, her ex-manager.
Having worked for ACTRA, that just wouldn't fly.
Yeah, I mean, and this is also in the States, and it's also a fantasy novel. Oh, and Jack, I will precursor this with there are monsters in this book. There are normal humans, but mostly the monsters.
Would it fly if a gargoyle was fucking a sugar baby?
I think so, because they have wings, don't they?
I mean, you're not wrong.
Nailed it. First try.
Yep, good times.
So to that point, Jules is like has a lot of financial issues because she's trying to fight this in court. She's been trying to fight it for years to get her money back. So she's paying for expensive lawyers. Because of that, she's also not really like working to any like long degree because any more money she makes just goes back into their pockets.
She's
Right.
sugaring though.
She's what?
Sugaring.
Yeah, so she is acting as a sugar baby on a website.
Sugaring.
So she's basically like selling herself out for dates to men.
With Gargoyle.
She doesn't know he's a gargoyle.
Yeah, so when they first like kind of when he comes across her, it's because of what he's trying to do. So he is looking for an artifact, Titan.
Because he's one of the last 4.
He's one of the last gargoyles.
Yeah.
Who were tasked to protect the relic room of the strange. And the strange are like basically the supernatural creatures of the world.
All the things Rachel and Ashton want to fuck.
Let's see. Gargoyles, vampires, witches, shifters, succubi. Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, I was like, need to read the list?
That was a list. There's a couple more, but that's basically it.
So, okay. She doesn't know he's a gargoyle.
Correct.
He has a ring that makes him look like a man.
Yes.
Okay, so that was my... So he's like shape shifts with a ring?
Magically.
Yeah, so witches created the gargoyles in this universe to protect the relic room, which is it holds a bunch of their like ancient relics. And the witches also gave them these rings that traps their like true form from people. So when they take the ring off, they can transform into their gargoyle form, but otherwise they walk around as humans.
Okay.
And so
Jules tries to steal it.
So what happens is they go on a date. So, okay, I should backtrack a little bit. So he's trying to find the keystone that leads to the relic room because the relic room has been lost over the years. And so the keystone shows up in Los Angeles, which is where they both live. And Titan is trying to track down where it is currently. Thus he comes across this dude named Alvin Harris, who was out on who hired Jules as a sugar baby to go on its date. She ends up taking down a piece of very important information that Titan needs without realizing it, and Titan picks up on the fact that she has done this. He runs a super fancy like security company with his quote unquote brothers, or the Brotherhood in this case is what they call them.
Isn't that what the name of the company is? Like Brothers something?
No, it's called Brooder Security.
Close enough.
Close enough. So he uses his basically his security company to like find out who she is, and ends up like getting a date with her through this website. And basically like the only intent that he has at all is to just get that napkin from her where she wrote down the information.
Until he realizes that she needs a daddy.
She very much needs a daddy. She needs someone to look after her because he finds out like the financial situation that she's in, and it keeps going from there. Anyway, they have an immediate attraction to each other, so there's that. And she ends up
on a pedestal.
Yeah.
As every woman motherfucking deserves.
Yeah, you need to shove that like super expensive fancy dagger from the middle times off the pedestal and then put a woman on it and fuck her.
Eat her out.
You can do both.
You could, I mean, you have to be tall to fuck her, I suppose. He's tall.
He's very tall.
You could get your own pedestal too.
Or you could use your tail.
Okay, well at this point she doesn't know that he's a gargoyle. So anyway, she ends up they end up, like doing some stuff. He doesn't fuck her right away.
No, there's a lot of oral.
Yeah, he daddies her. Like that's exactly that's what it is called.
I mean, it's fair. I have questions though, because like I'm reading through this and I'm going, how does a gargoyle who was created hundreds of years ago and has admittedly been hiding from society for the past several hundred years have a daddy kink? Where does that come from?
So what I will say about that is
that's
that
unrealistic.
Gargoyles were created to be protectors. Now, where the sexual stuff comes in, the witches obviously programmed that into them. They must have.
That was the witch in charge of like building him. Was like, I know, me. I don't know why I did the typing motion like she was using fucking computer when she made him, but like, yeah, that was her wiggling her wand around.
Great sound effect.
You're a wizard, Harry. Yeah, that That had to have come from her, right? Or them.
Yeah, I assume that there's like some back end stuff going on here where the witches were like, someday I'm going to fuck this. I'm going to be prepared.
Or maybe it's just me being like, why do I have questions about everything?
Are you projecting?
Well, no, maybe, I don't know. But it's like one of the reasons that I like the Omegaverse so much is like I like the biology behind it. So in my head, I was like trying to rationalize how this works.
Listen, don't think about it. Don't think too hard about it.
Is it like something that could evolve?
I don't think daddy domination is an evolutionary form.
I mean, here's the
kink.
thing. These guys have been, so like, they were created over 700 years ago.
That's a long time for a daddy king to develop.
They were, 400 of those years they were protecting the relic room. So they weren't actually like part of society because the relic room kind of like exists between dimensions almost. Like it kind of pops around and doesn't really like exist in one place.
Well,
I'm not gonna lie, that whole part of it, I was just like,
that gives you a lot of time to figure out your sexuality.
Potentially, but
400 years.
But there's
Just
no like
standing around-
context of it.
Yeah, standing around thinking about what I'd like to bone and how I'd like to bone it.
Here's the thing. He stands around with a bunch of other gargoyles too, which I'm like, how are none of you gay? What happened there?
Well, I mean, she's only written the one book. Some of them might
So
be.
far. True. The second book is coming out in June.
We're looking at you, Jillian Graves.
Eyeballs on the prize, Jillian.
We're hoping.
Well,
hoping.
I'll hold out for it. It's reasonable. I'll maybe do the second one.
I'm looking forward to the next one, though, because we all know how much I love some primal shit.
Yeah, the next one is a primal gargoyle romance with Rook and Eden.
Mm-hmm.
Were two characters in this book. Eden's the like secretary kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And Rook keeps like, anyway,
It's cute.
it's super cute. They have a
Talk
dynamic
about
already.
size kink.
Oh yeah, total size king.
How is
You'd,
that not
you'd have
written
to be.
down?
I guess, yeah. I mean, there's so many of them. There's like the monster romance, the daddy kink, the praise kink, the dom sub thing,
I just wrote size
spanking, and then the sugar daddy sugar. Like it just goes on. There's tons of it. Back to the story. You know, they have a night together and they end up sleeping in the same bed. And in the morning, she wakes up first and he's still sleeping. He sleeps in his clothes even with his ring on and everything. Like he never one time took his clothes off.
Clothed male, naked female.
Yep, there it is.
Does
And-
that have anything to do with his gargoyleality where he has to keep the ring on? Does he have to wear clothes?
I don't think so.
I don't think they really go into it.
I feel like there's a bit of an offhand mention of it, like he has scarring or something on his body, or that might be weird, like on his human body, because it carries over from his gargoyle body. But anyway,
So if he was like slashed with a knife, it shows up in his human form.
yeah, because so anyway, back to the history of this for 2 seconds. There was like a basically a war fought over the this relic room thing, and so the gargoyles, the four that are left, it was out like there's like 12 or 14 of them or something to begin with, and so these are the only ones left.
I think they had so these guys were 5 and they each had a different section.
Yeah,
So
there's like north,
5
south, east, west.
Yeah, there's 5 gargoyles for each section. And theirs was the only section left standing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, so he may be marked up from that war kind of situation that was going on, and that's why he keeps his clothes on. Regardless, so they end up sleeping in the same bed together, and she wakes up first, and she's kind of like hard up for money and stuff like that. So she gets a glance at the ring that he has on, and it's like this big fancy ring with like an emerald in it or something, and she's like, "I'm gonna just steal that," and she steals it right off his hand.
What?
And here's the thing. So when she steals it off his hand, she like goes to put it in her like away and then put her dress on and leave. And when she turns around, there's like this big statue standing in the middle of like in the corner of the room. And she's like, "Oh, it was really dark last night. I didn't really notice that." And then the statue
Surprise.
moves and flicks its tail and talks to her because it's Titan in his gargoyle form.
Jeez.
Yeah, because she like made him transform in the middle of the morning.
I mean,
Talk about your morning wood.
Morning
Stone?
Stone?
Morning Stone.
Romancing
Morning
Stone.
Stone.
Romancing I Stone.
Is that the girl from Anchorman?
Morning Stone?
Yeah.
I've never seen Anchorman. So then, of course, the cat's out of the bag. And Jules ends up getting brought into this universe of, like, this dude who has, you know, his brothers, quote unquote, that live with him. And they run the security detail, and they're looking for this this relic room that she accidentally stumbled upon, because this Alvin Harris dude is friends with this other guy named Freddie Fisher, who has his hands on this relic that they find out.
Oh, do they all live on different floors? Like, is Titan?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That was the thing. I couldn't remember. And I was like, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
like of the same house? Or what do you mean?
Like, they own a building?
They own a building. The penthouse is Titan, and then below are the offices and another like dwellings.
Yeah. So they all live in the same building. It's kind of like a Den of Vipers situation, only on different floors.
Yeah, very similar to that.
Yeah.
They do business elsewhere in the building.
Yeah.
The fucking's upstairs and the party's
The
downstairs.
fuckingings.
The fuckingings.
Like a mullet, kind of.
Business in the front, party in the back.
Like a mullet.
Just like a mullet. That's exactly.
That's what we need.
This is a Gargoyle Daddy Dom Mullet romance.
Oh.
Now Jacqueline wants to read it.
Yep. Give me the mullet.
Give me the mullets.
So he's a gargoyle.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So obviously you can see like the difference between a human and a gargoyle, but he can just move around and like walk and talk. And is it like the same person?
So are you talking from his human form to his gargoyle form?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when he's in his human form, he's smaller and he's like human sized.
It's like
he's really tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a glamour.
It's a glamour.
But
I
it
don't know
doesn't.
what that means.
No, it's actually more like a shapeshift because he doesn't take up the same amount of space.
So is glamour just like a fancy version of yourself or something?
No, it's like when the magic makes other people see something that's not there.
It's an illusion.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to actually shape shifting,
Yeah.
which is changing your actual whole shape.
Right, because when she touches him, he has like the human-ish.
Yep.
And no tail.
Correct.
But the thing with the tail, she's sensitive. She's very, very sensitive.
So the tail.
How do you feel about the tail, Rachel?
I have such
What are
mixed
your feelings with the tail?
It's so unsanitary.
Right?
So he has it's a very long tail from what they describe in the book.
Rachel, when
Ma'am?
did your sexual awakening occur when you found out that you enjoyed tails?
Gosh, I don't even know. I don't know if I can pinpoint that one.
I was gonna say, tails are hot.
Prehensile tails are hot.
I mean, I thought that Atlas's tail was pretty like fun, and that wasn't prehensile. He just
Thump, thump, thump,
yeah,
thump,
exactly.
thump, thump.
It just showed us where he was happy. Tails, Rachel. Sexual awakening, tails.
So the tail in this one is very active.
Dirty.
They describe it as very sensitive.
Yes,
like
that's
has
what
a
I was getting
sensitive
at.
tip on it. They use it in sexual acts frequently, and we're gonna get Jack to read about that in a minute.
Great.
It's so unsanitary. Like he walks around. It's really long, so it like drags on the ground and shit.
So I have to wonder though, because if it was super sensitive, he's not gonna like drag it behind him, because then he's gonna be like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
I honestly
so
think
wouldn't he like cock it up a bit?
I honestly think
like
that
a cat. Playing piano. What?
why are cats playing piano?
Disney movies.
Oh, okay, fair.
Cats can't dance. It's a movie.
Okay, cool. I suspect to believe that his tail only gets sensitive and wonky when he's aroused. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I see the logic behind that, but in my gremlin brain, I'm like, somebody breathes on it, and he's like, I got a boner.
So in like my brain hole, I'd be like, oh, just wrap that shit around your waist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
tentacles.
Goku. What? We went to two different places with that.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so Goku wraps his monkey tail around his stomach,
I was thinking,
and you're thinking tentacles.
yeah, I was thinking of Cyrus and tentacle triathlons. He wraps his mating tentacles around his arms.
Yes, that's right. He does.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
Oh, listen, that's fine.
I thought about Ursula wrapping her tentacle around Ariel and then Ariel pegging Eric, because we talked about that recently.
We were trying to figure out how Ursula could possibly... No, we were trying to figure out how Ariel was going to peg Eric.
It didn't say who was pegging who. All it said was tentacle pegging.
And I argue that you couldn't peg somebody with a tentacle because you were just having anal sex.
Isn't that what pegging is?
But it's using an apparatus specifically.
But if you stick your finger...
Yep.
That's fingering.
That's fingering.
So then it's not anal sex, it's anal tentacling?
It's not pegging, it's tentacling.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we should just read the book and find out, but...
We won't go into it here.
mean,
I have a whole theory.
She could have still... Never mind. Okay.
I love how Jacqueline's giving this like actual thought, even though she's like, please don't ever make me read this.
Well, it sounds like we should need to make her read it then.
I'll do some research.
Anyway, so Jules goes on this. She ends up getting an invite to an event that's being hosted so that Titan can get introduced / invited to this like exclusive event that Jules found out about.
The relic one, right?
Yeah, so they find out that the relic is in LA, that this guy Fisher is going to has his hands on it. And so Titan needs to get an invite in to like break into his vault and steal it back.
Yeah,
And
he wants to make himself seem like really posh and like cool.
Well, he just wants an invite. He doesn't really care how. He just needs to get in there. And like the only thing about these gargoyles is that like, yeah, the logic is just bust in there. You're a fucking gargoyle. But they're trying to like, number one, they're not supposed to exist. And then number two, they're trying not to like break the masquerade of these creatures and the strange, as they call them, in this city, because it is like a human city.
He doesn't want to out them.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
And especially
he doesn't
since
want to go Kool-Aid Man and through a wall.
Oh yeah.
as much as we all want to see a gargoyle Kool-Aid Man through a wall, they opt not to do that. So they go with the like espionage style approach.
They Ocean's 11 that shit.
I wish. That would be amazing.
Okay, I have a question. Mm-hmm. So she steals his ring and he turns into a gargoyle. Mm-hmm. And she figures out he's there, whatever. So then is he just like, may I please have my ring back? Or like, how does...
He does get his ring back. There's like a kind of a cute scene with it where she's like kind of stashing it and he's like uses his tail to get it back, basically.
Okay.
It's just a little something.
A little pokey pokey.
Yeah, it's a little pokey pokey.
And she just gets over it that he's a gargoyle because she wants her
they
daddy.
They make it mention of it that she's surprisingly accepting of this.
I mean,
and that's all I got to say about it.
So
he like worshipped her vagina like a fucking king. So I mean, I'd be pretty accepting too if I was like, listen, if you can eat pussy like that, I mean, gargoyle, human, just keep eating pussy like that. Doesn't matter in the end.
Don't care what race you are, just eat that pussy.
Just eat that pussy.
Mm-hmm. Pussy's got to get ate.
Nom 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 meow.
Yeah, so they get this invite. Turns out that Freddie Fisher is a huge fan of Jules' early work.
Yeah.
When she was in I can't remember which show it was. She was like a space captain or something in one of these shows, and he's like obsessed with it. And Sata got canceled, and so she like schmoozes in there using her like, her sugar baby wiles basically and her acting skills
to give Titan time to go and like search for the thing. But isn't that when he's like kind of like jealous of?
Oh, he is super jealous.
He's supposed to want the thing.
So he has this thing called the pole, which all the gargoyles have. And the pole draws them back to this keystone, which is attached to the relic room. So it draws them to the relic room as well. And it's something that's built into their persons, basically, by the witches.
They're gargoyles.
Yeah. So there's always this pole going on. So that's how they knew it was back in LA. They're like, wait, my spidey senses are tingling.
Gargonads.
What?
Gargonads. I don't know why that came to my head.
You done?
He feels in his gargonads.
I wish you guys could see Rachel's face right now.
And this pole pulls them toward. So he knows as soon as they walk into the building that this thing is here. The keystone is here. And so he knows exactly where. And he sneaks upstairs to find out that it's in this vault. And he can't figure out how to get into the vault yet. And so they're going to come. They basically get an invite back to come to the exclusive event where there's going to be less people. It's going to be different security. And they're going to like make a plan to come back and like steal this keystone. And then So he basically, in the meantime, is paying Jules exuberant amounts of money to basically stay at his side to help him with this like kind of heisty thing.
And buying her shit.
And buying her shit, buys her like fancy shoes and like fancy dresses, and he like pays her rent for a couple months, and just like, you know.
He has a lot of money.
He's been around for several hundred years. They have tons of money.
Yeah. Several hundred years, daddy kink, and lots of money.
Well, I think there's a scene near the end of the book where they like destroy some nice pieces of art, and she's like, no. And he's like, I don't fucking care. I'll buy more art.
Yeah. He's like ripping them apart. He's like, you mean more to me. Rip the art pieces.
Yeah, it's very funny because they're like, and for some reason she knows about art too. So she's like, that's a really expensive piece of art. I think more she knows how to appraise things.
Yeah, I think like a skill set for ripping people off.
Yeah, more or less. When she's like, I could value that and I could probably sell that for a pretty penny.
I'm going to roll up that piece of painting there and shove it in my dress and sneak out
her
of here
very,
with it.
very tight dress.
Yeah. I don't know how she's going to steal the paintings.
No idea.
The ring makes sense.
Yeah. So,
paintings, not so much.
Not so much. A little bit harder to conceal. You know, things go on. They end up kind of like splitting off for a while.
Well, her thing has always been like she wants to do this whole thing on her own.
So the fight with her managers to get her money back, basically.
Yeah, and her mom, like her mom has always second guessed her, and like she's never felt like she could do anything. So like, she wants to do this thing on her own, and Titan gets involved in a way that ends up with Richard getting hurt pretty bad.
Yeah, so they find out that Richard, her ex-manager, is like kind of catfishing her.
Yeah.
On the baby website, and so what they're gonna do is they want to put her into receivership. And they're going to take control of her estate and potentially have to make her act again, which her mom kind of like outs her quietly because she tries to record her admitting that she's been doing this, like being a sugar baby.
It's all big sketch.
Like, oh yeah, the whole thing is very sketch. And then like, so Titan has a security company that like hacks into shit and whatever, and they found out that Richard had been doing this, and had all the printouts and all this stuff. So Titan and one of his guys went to Richard's house to like get the physical copies of this stuff and destroy them, basically, so they didn't have any evidence against her. And in the meantime, Titan ended up like going into a blind rage and like attacking Richard when he came home and like put him in the hospital. And then so she gets the frantic phone call from her mother, like that this had happened and like what the heck was going on, and just crying and stuff like this. And then so Jules pieces it together what has happened, because she had asked Titan to look into, I believe, if they had any other recordings of her that could have been used against her, or if they ended up recording anything of value that day when she met up with her mother for lunch or whatever.
Yeah, she wanted to just like look into this, just don't put your hands on anything kind of thing. And
she was like, do what you can do like remotely, but don't like get involved in any of this stuff.
And so he put his hands all over it.
He hands-eated it all up.
Yeah.
Why did he do it?
Because
he loves her.
This is the thing, but he also has that daddy complex of like, I will look after you and I will fix your problems, and it's like that's not what she asked you to do. And
there was no consent.
No, not at all.
He poured the tea without her asking for it.
He made her some bourbon, and
yeah, he slipped her some shit in that tea.
Basically. So they have a big blowout, and however, she is still like signed up, obligated, and paid for to come to this other event, this like private event at Freddie's house to get the keystone.
Yes.
And so, you know, she shows up the night of, basically, and undermines him in a bunch of different ways. It's very adorable.
Yeah, it just feels like she's fucking with him.
And she is. She's trolling him 100% because she knows she gets under his skin.
Yes, which leads into a very important part of all of this, in that his pull changes.
So he realizes when they go into the exclusive party to find the keystone, he doesn't feel the pull of the keystone when he's there. Like at some point it switched over
to her. Dun dun dun.
And during,
or is she the keystone?
She was the keystone the whole time. No, not quite.
I mean, I feel like I've read that book too.
Yeah, right?
And then we all woke up.
So that party in particular is when Titan goes into like a blind rage. Like there's this guy that's been hitting on her.
It's the guy that keeps stalking her, but it ends up being the guy. The guy who keeps following her around.
Yeah, he was following her around at the first party, but then like he's super following around at this party.
Yeah, and then it turns out that
He turns out that he's one of the other gargoyles from the other crews that should be dead.
Surprise!
They're not all dead.
Nope.
No, but they are tracking the Keystone as well, which is problematic because they find out that these other gargoyles were actually like turncoats and like turned against them in the war, and it's a whole thing.
The reason that our brothers in arms are dead.
Yeah, more or less it was these guys.
Maximus.
Maximus is the guy.
And then Vanguard.
Vanguard and Flint. They end up getting their asses handed to them. Amongst all of this chaos, so Titan and his dudes were setting up like a sting operation to kind of distract Frankie so that Titan could slip upstairs and steal the relic.
In the meantime, the witches are involved too because there was they felt another strange in the area. And they didn't know what kind of strange it was.
They got I think it was the first party. Titan noticed that there was a strange, or he got a sense that there was a strange outside.
Yeah.
That he couldn't identify, and nobody had eyes on them.
Maximus.
And so they couldn't really figure out who it was. And then it ended up being Maximus, surprise, who's also trying to get his hands on this keystone thing.
Yeah.
So Titan gets distracted by all this stuff going on, and like
Penis.
You know, guys with penises, as they're wont to do. And in the meantime, Jules had finagled herself upstairs by herself and ended up unlocking getting access to the vault and getting her hands on the keystone, shoving it in her purse, and then leaving. So the other gargoyle, Maximus, realizes that she's leaving with the keystone because he still has the pull.
To the keystone.
As opposed to Titan, who does not have the pull to the keystone anymore.
So he doesn't even have a clue where it is.
No idea.
Right.
So Jules exits the building, and Maximus like basically chases after her and
in human form.
And like they have a confrontation, and then she bolts, and he pulls his ring off as a gargoyle and chases her. Bam.
Rockman, dude.
Rock dude. All of a sudden.
Tail, horns, wings, all of that shit.
And then of course, so Titan comes to a rescue, and he and his bros roll up and save the day. And so he assumes Maximus got off with the keystone, and because he like stole Jules' purse that had the keystone in it and took off.
Maximus got away, but Flint didn't? One of them didn't, or did both Flint and Vanguard not get away?
I'm pretty sure Flint got held captive. One of them got away, and Maximus got away.
Yeah, one of them yeah.
Did she put it up her dress?
Close. She hid it under a vehicle in the parking lot.
I don't think that's close at all. Did she put it in her dress? Close.
You're on the
Under a
right
car.
track. She did hide it.
She hid it.
She hid it somewhere.
She's
Not on
the
her body.
best.
She's the best. That Jules. So wily.
So she ends up with the keystone, obviously gives it to Titan, and they go and secure it. They end up in like...
Don't they have the moment where like they fight about but you didn't listen to me, but I just want to take care of you. But this, but that. Fucking.
There's a lot of fucking.
Isn't that the base of the
Stop
works?
serving me tea that I haven't asked for, sir.
I think she still wants the tea. That's the thing too. Like they're inexplicably drawn to one another.
Mm-hmm.
So she
Want
like
some tea?
Don't put that tea at me.
point your cactus in her direction.
So after they get the keystone,
Yes.
the only kind of factor left over is that when Titan confronted Richard, he threatened him that he needs to leave the state and drop all the suits. And that is exactly what he ends up doing. And so that resolves all of Jules' issues as well. And then everyone lives happily ever after. Conclusion.
Sex.
So much sex.
So much sex.
So they end up together, like together.
Okay. But
What do you got?
the whole like, but I can't procreate, we're fine thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, you can't procreate. What's dripping down her legs, sir? Because that was a thing, and there was a lot of it. So like, and she also goes out of her way to describe how it tastes.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that it tastes sweet. And seminal fluid is made up of sugar and protein. So that leads me to believe that it is seminal fluid dripping down her leg. And if she doesn't have the spermy wormies, what is it? Magma? Cement? What is being released from his body that's dripping down her leg?
That sounds a personal question.
What do lady fluids have in them? Are they sweet?
I don't know. I didn't look that part up.
Well, you know about the seminal fluids?
I don't know how I know about seminal fluid, guys. Like, it's just a thing that I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's fact, though.
Listen, I don't doubt that it's fact. However, this is a fantasy novel. And my argument would be that the witches created these gargoyles in a certain way on purpose. And like I said before, I'm sure they're like, we'll rail that later. Let's make it the way I want it to be.
He's going to shoot his magma up inside my body.
I will also say this, too. This book has vibes that I bet you in the future books, someone's going to end up preggers from gargoyles.
We all know how much I live for that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, because like when his pole switches from the keystone to her, I'm like, there's some shenanigans going on here, right?
Maybe of a primal nature?
Could be. Who knows?
Maybe he imprinted on her.
Very well could have. That's
Okay,
kind of the
Jacob.
vibe.
Anyways, remember 400 years. They've had a lot of evolving to do. They have a daddy kink, and now they have deliciously sweet seminal fluid that may or may not contain semen. So I don't know what it's called if it doesn't.
Jack, that was an excellent point. And I'm going to reward you by getting you to read this chapter.
Yay!
It's a reward.
It's a reward. You asked for this, remember?
Shots, 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 shots.
You may do a shot first.
The moment I regain my control, I catch her gaze. It's hazy with desire, and I shoot her a dark, warning look. Her pleasure is mine, and I won't allow her to take what is mine. She stills her hips instantly. You are my toy for the night, and I'm going to use every part of you, I growl. Her eyes light up with excitement as I flick my tail over her pussy. Oh, man. Still working her on my shaft, I run the rigid tip of my tail over her folds. Twin sensations of pleasure from my tail and cock shoot to my center. My head drops back, horns scraping the rock ceiling as I roar. My wings tighten to my back as I try to hold onto any remaining control I have left. My goodness. Juliana moans as I move my tail over her swollen clit, circling, manipulating the sensitive nub until her pussy is clenching down on my cock. But I'm not here for her orgasm. Not yet. Juliana lets out a pitiful whimper, giving me an equally pitiful look, as with a final circle of her clit, I move my tail from her pussy. I drop my tail under her hips and, using the wetness gathered in my ridges, I massage it between her ass cheeks. She gives a startled moan, her hips jumping on my cock at the surprise intrusion. Are you up for this? I ask, tracing her asshole with the wet tip. Oh my God, I hate you guys. She nods cautiously. I want to feel you, all of you, inside and out. But if it's not tonight, we have all week. Answer me honestly, little thief. She thinks about it as I let her roll her hips on my cock. The constant movement stokes the fire already roaring inside me. I can handle more. I want more. Her voice is breathy but confident as her eyes glaze over with the easy pleasure of the motion. Okay, baby. Aw, even gargoyles say baby. I tighten my grip on her waist as I slide my tail around her tight hole before finally pressing in. I move slowly, the ring of muscle squeezing me tight, so that I have to move in and out several times to breach her entrance. Oh, Daddy, she squeaks. Her brown eyes go wide and innocent. Her lips form a soft O. A million different tiny expressions of pleasure cross her face. Yes, baby girl. I push in further and watch her bite at her bottom lip. My tail is only a few inches inside her, and I won't be going further tonight, but I can feel how tightly I've stretched her. Oh God, you're so much, she gasps. I wait and let her get used to the feeling of both her holes being filled, and her expression softens to one of satisfaction. Good girl, I groan, starting to move my tail in time with my cock. I feel myself with each thrust, the pronounced ridges of my tail sliding against me through her thin internal barrier. You're taking my cock and tail so well. Her cheeks blush brighter, and she shuts her eyes, immediately turning away from me for a moment. Juliana is embarrassed by how much my praise turns her on. I will spend our week together breaking her of that self-consciousness. I want my baby girl to be greedy for my well-earned adoration. I pick up speed, alternating as I pump inside her, slamming in with my cock, then thrusting with my tail. I see the way the feeling overwhelms her, pushing her body to its limit, just as it does to me. Dropping one claw from her waist, I curve my body over hers and plant my free hand above her head. My broad chest holds her legs tight to her stomach, and I pull my face close to hers. I grip the rock, clawing into the hard surface. My wings extend, and the talons at the very top of them dig into the cave's roof, gouging out the rock and giving me stability. Do you know how good you make Daddy feel? I growl as I push back into her at this new angle, driving deeper, solid and hard. The tight grip of her pussy on my cock has me struggling for control. Do you know how good it feels to have your warm, tight cunt wrapped around my cock? Do you know how good it makes me feel to have you squeeze me? I watch as Juliana struggles to keep eye contact with me, even as her hips buck more wildly against me. Tension builds in my balls, tightening them, pulling them closer to my body. She moans, small tremors coursing through her body, and her hands move from the rock to my shoulders. Her nails dig into my flesh, and I find myself urging her on harder. Dig your nails into me, baby. I want to see how good I make you feel. I want your marks on me tomorrow. A wicked smirk crosses her face, and I thrust, slamming my hips into her. She digs her fingers into my stony flesh, and I roar, "Yes, baby girl!" And I pound harder, letting the walls of the cave shake and the rocks at our feet rattle. It isn't the pain that drives me. Juliana is far more likely to hurt herself than me, and I won't let that happen, but the knowledge that I will get to keep a piece of her past tonight. I cannot keep her and protect her like I want, stowing her away in my penthouse to keep safe forever. And so this is what I get, a week and tonight, and I will take it all. Oh God! Oh God! She screams as I pick up speed. Fuck, Daddy! Let it go. I want to. Her head thrashes back and forth, hair whipping over her face. You can handle it. I rumble through tense, gritted teeth and impale her fully on my cock and tail and hold her tight to me. Let it go for me, baby girl. And she does. Juliana shakes and tenses beneath me, her orgasm tearing through her with violent spasms. She is flushed and wanton, and so eager to please her daddy. The sight of her coming on my command sets me off, and I release all the built-up tension with a roar as her tight pussy milks everything from me. I claw at the ground and tear at the boulder, pulling chunks of rock from it. I feel myself fill her almost instantly, and I pull out. Ropes of white-hot cum shoot over her pussy and stomach. I fist myself, jerking hard and fast as I wring every last drop from my cock and mark her across her chest and thighs. I should clean her up, and I will, but I've never seen Juliana as beautiful as she is now, naked and panting, completely undone by an orgasm I gave her, marked by my release.
Magma.
Thanks for that, Jack. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel, Jacqueline?
Uncomfortable. Also, I'm
Excellent.
confused.
Go on.
It's like stony flesh.
I wondered that too.
Like, what sort of...
Like, I touch
think
a
he's
lot of bodies.
I think he's just rock hard.
Yeah, but how could she scratch him if he's rock hard?
I mean, stony flesh is still insinuating that it's fleshy.
Yeah. So is it like a hippo?
Oh, it could be.
I was
Do you know what I
thinking,
mean? Like that leathery, like. But then why wouldn't it say leathery flesh?
I was thinking like rock hard, like abs, muscles, super muscly.
Like Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Sure.
But I mean, this is the thing. It's fantasy. Like,
But again, my head goes to those places, and you know what I think it is like when the storyline doesn't like really grab me, my brain drifts off into like
ADHD land.
Yeah, La La Land, where I'm like, I wonder what it's made of. I wonder what that would feel like. What are the mechanics behind fucking her? And then how would your tail need to bend in the right ways to not break, but also ram in your ass at the same time?
Right? Like, how long must this tail be?
this is the thing. They really describe that tail like as if it's very long. And this is why I'm like, if it's a dragon places, like, where is it going?
I really think that it tips up on the end and it doesn't drag on the ground. Because when it talks about how the sensation in the tail goes straight to his cock, could you imagine dragging that on the ground? I'm telling you, like, ow, ow,
I don't,
ow.
listen, I'm not doubting it. It's just that they don't go into any detail on it, which is like, that's kind of important.
Again, these are the things that Ashton's brain think of.
Yeah,
like,
fair.
Why does this feel that way? How does that feel? Is it like a phantom limb sensation, or is it like a second penis?
Right. Who knows? I
I
mean, they're
mean,
gargoyles. I can't really.
Salt the dragon probably knows.
Saul definitely knows. So on that notion, we're gonna rate this book, and I think we should rate it out of orgasms on pedestals.
Sure.
So there's like 12 pedestals, I think, in the entryway.
You paid a lot more attention to that than I did. Pedestals in the room?
Yeah, pedestals in the entranceway. It's like a grand entranceway. That's pedestals on the other side, and then there's like some artwork and stuff. Anyway, details. So out of 12 orgasms on pedestals, what would you give this book?
Like 6, 7 maybe.
Dang, that's a low rating.
Yeah,
You really got caught up in that.
like I said, like the story didn't super grab me, and like I don't want to say there was plot holes necessarily, because I don't think it was plot holes. It was just like there were things that my brain kept tripping up on, and if you can't keep me from drifting off into ADHD land, it's one of those like I'll finish it and I'll find it entertaining, but I didn't find it as well rounded as what some of the things that we've read would have been. I liked it. You know, 6 is like 50%.
It's like a pass in some places.
I'll read the second one.
Yeah, do you think go back and read it, or go back and read the second one when it comes out?
Okay, but this, to be fair too, this is the book that like randomly he calls her his little slut out of nowhere. And we had this conversation before where it just completely fucking took me out of it, because never in the book is degradation been a part of it, and all of a sudden it is, and that really kind of threw me for a loop. Plus, admittedly, Daddy Dom isn't necessarily I mean, I like it, but it's more like your thing than it is my thing. Whereas like
I feel it's call that hour here on the Queens of Spice.
how's it? I mean, I'm just facts, I guess. I don't know, man. Like,
Kiss my head and tell me you're proud of me.
I already did. I like furry monsters. You like hard I don't know, man.
So I'm gonna rate this. I'm gonna give it like an 8 out of 12. I think I enjoyed it. I will read the next one, I think. There's definitely some issues I take with this book. There was definitely some plot holes.
I don't want to be that person because these people drive me nuts, but like I struggled with the female character.
So, and it's interesting because I looked up the Goodreads reviews on this because I had some mixed feelings. So I'm like, I need some people to back me up on this. And one of the overarching comments was that the female character was poorly written, or not poorly written, but she didn't have the chemistry. There's not enough chemistry between the two male characters, and she did fall a little flat in some instances.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm glad it wasn't just me then.
It's too bad too because like I like her story and where she came from. I think that was a very strong and like what she was trying to accomplish was very admirable. But for some reason, like her personality, it felt a little weird in that book.
It didn't shine through, I think. It was like a cardboard cutout of sorts. Like she was filling a role that she needed to fill, but we didn't really see much beyond the role she was supposed to fill.
Yeah, it's a little, and I understand it's a little one-dimensional in that like she is an actress, but she's putting on this persona for other people. But I don't think you actually see like the only time you see her like true personality is in this like kind of sexual setting with her with the Daddy Dom here. And I'm like, that's not enough to pull a character together, I don't think.
Yeah, well, yeah, her a lot of her character points seem to be based in the tropes more so than based in an actual character development, I think was my thing. Like everything you knew about her that was important was based in those tropes, opposed to just being like she likes puppies and drinks lattes. Do you know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of extra.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Listen, I came here for a good time and I got it, so that's why it's getting an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Magma.
I mean, if there was more character development and more kind of substance to it, I'd be giving it a higher rating for sure.
Jacqueline?
How do you feel?
Not a big fan of the whole like gargoyle thing. And also like I get what the gargoyles like mission was or whatever. But kind of her, like you guys were saying, her story is just kind of, like she's Britney Spears trying to get her dad out of her life or whatever, and so she can keep her money and her kids. But like, why does that have anything to do with a gargoyle? Other than right place, right time.
It is a worlds collide kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I mean about like she fits the role. Like she fits the role that she's needed to fit. Opposed to being a character in that role.
Yeah, so like it's interesting because when the second book comes out, I'll be more curious to see how that goes because the characters in that are already integrated.
Well, and I mean that's a good point too because Eden was introduced in this book, and I felt like Eden had more personality than Jules did.
Yeah, I would say they're at least on equal footing because, but Jules had a whole book and Eden had like cameos in this book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the peaks you got of like her interaction with Rook too was like that made me want the second book more than the first book being good.
Yeah, I agree.
It was those little peaks of things, and I was like, okay, yeah, like, well, this is going somewhere.
And especially like with the feral stuff that's coming up, it's like there's gonna be like it's gonna be so possessive and like there's gonna be some shit.
I hope it will be.
That's the thing. I have high hopes for the next book. I do.
Well, we'll read it and find out, I guess.
Yes, we will. So,
Jack, did you tell us how many coming pedestals?
I think I'm gonna go with like 3.82 cum pedestals out of 12.
Orgasms on pedestals.
Orgasms
For the record.
Orgasms on pedestals.
So is that like 3 orgasms on pedestals and 1 you almost got there, but then he slipped off your clit and just never came back?
Yeah, so it sort of actually makes it like worse.
Yeah, because you're left hanging.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it kind of works out to like 2.
So on that note, thank you all for joining me reading Titan.
Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Ashton.
So, like, what's the next book that we're going to review?
So the next book that we're going to read is near and dear to your heart, and it is called Does It Hurt?
Shark Daddy.
It's Shark Daddy.
Enzo.
Penguins.
There's no penguins
There's
in this
no
one.
penguins in this one. Daddy Enzo is coming up next time. And thank you for joining the Queens of Spice podcast. You want to send me an email, queensofspice@gmail.com. You hit us up on Twitter if it's still a thing. And Instagram, Queens of Spice. And thanks for joining us, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Queens of Spice podcast. You'll find us on Instagram and Twitter at Queens of Spice. Or if you want to send us an email, you can reach us at queensofspice@gmail.com.